All right. Welcome, everyone, to Mindset Monday. I am Christine Kolzing. I'm the CEO and founder of Align and Design Your Life. And with me today is my twin sister. Karen Arts is the COO and head Enneagram coach inside Align and Design Your Life, our program. And today we are going to talk about what the Enneagram is and how this tool can be used to really further your personal growth in a way that other tools just really don't give you that personalized growth path. So, Karen, would you like to just introduce yourself and say a little bit more about the Enneagram and your history with it, and we'll just continue the conversation from there.
Sure. Thank you. So my name's Karen Arts. Next Friday, it'll turn to Karen Harmon because I'm getting married. And I've been studying the Enneagram for over a decade. I am a certified Enneagram teacher and coach. And I started using the Enneagram for myself when I needed to make some big decisions in my life. And I was really struggling with getting to the answer. I was feeling really stuck. And I knew I needed to do something different. Something needed to change, but I kept getting stuck in the same spot over and over and over again. And the Enneagram was the first time that I understood why I was getting stuck. And then I could see the clear path for how to get through that. Where every other therapist I worked with, or system I studied, or book I read was telling me more what I was doing, but not why I was doing it. I knew what I was doing. I knew I was afraid of quitting my job, which is what I wanted to do. But no one was telling me where that fear was coming from. What was I really afraid of? And how could I work through that in order to actually make the change I wanted? And the Enneagram, the first time I learned about it, it was like someone had written a book about me for me. Right? It was like reading a book where you're like, how did you know that's how I think? Like stuff I never told anybody about what I thought or what I worried about or how I saw things. It was like spelled out for me. And I felt really heard and understood in a really unique way. And then I realized that that's true for everybody who learns the Enneagram, right? Every person I've ever worked with, when they start to understand what their Enneagram type is, they start to, it's like these light bulbs are popping off all over the place of this self-awareness, this new understanding that is really profound and really personal, and also has the added benefit of showing you, okay, now you know what you know about yourself, and here's what you can do about it. Like actually giving you the growth tools. I think so many personality typing systems that we use, whether it's Strengths Finders or Myers-Briggs or, sorry, Madam President, any of those other systems tell us a lot of maybe what we're doing, but not why we're doing it. And they don't also give you a path to growth. They're generally looking at just, here's who you are, this is what you do. The Enneagram shows you, here's where you are, here's what you can do. Here's what's going to change your life. Here's what's going to make the growth happen. And also showing you your blind spots. I think so many typing, personality systems are just looking at what you're good at, but maybe not what you're missing or what you don't know about yourself or what you can't see about yourself. And you can't fully grow if you don't know what you don't know, right? You don't want to change lanes on the highway without checking your blind spot. It's a recipe for disaster. Same thing in your life. You got to check your blind spots so you know if they're tripping you up without you even realizing it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. And I love that you talked about how once you understand your personality, you understand the why behind what you do. What's the motivation? right? Sometimes you see yourself coming up against the same challenge, the same issue, the same mindset block, the same thing, right? Over and over and over again. And you're like, why do I keep having this? Why is this the
Right.
thing?
Yeah.
Right? Enneagram really clearly says, this is why.
Yep.
And then you actually can do something about it, because your path to growth is not going to be the same as mine.
Right.
And so my solution for how to work through something won't always work for you. And it doesn't always work for me either. So I learned about the Enneagram around the same time, about 10 years ago, and got certified as an Enneagram teacher. I found the Enneagram through an acquaintance. And like Karen, once I started to read about my personality type, I was like, oh my gosh, is that why I keep getting stuck in the same thing? And the thing I kept getting stuck with was this hyper drive for achievement and recognition and success that looked like overworking, stressed out,
Mm-hmm.
putting work above everything else, and then burning out and getting sick or injured because I wasn't paying attention to my body. And my underlying fear was that if I wasn't a success, then I was a failure. And I did not want people to see me as a failure. I didn't know that though. I just had this drive to succeed that in a lot of respects works really well for me. It works really well in entrepreneurship, but left unchecked is my path to destruction. I will overwork until I'm sick. And I didn't know what the solution was, because in my way of thinking, my solution to every problem was just to do more. But that was the problem,
Right.
right? So once I learned what the motivation was, the reason I wanted success and achievement and recognition was because I really wanted love and acceptance. And at some point along the line, when I was a kid, I figured out that when I achieved, I got acceptance, right? And it's reinforced in our culture all the time. Get the gold star on your paper, get the A on your report card. People will be proud of you. They will show you love and affection. And so in my kid brain, I was like, that's the ticket. For me to get the love and affection I really want, I just have to be successful, right? And so as I grew into my adulthood, that underlying motivation was what really shaped my personality and the way that I perceived the world, the way that I perceived myself, right? And once I understood that what all of that doing was aimed at was just creating really what I wanted was love and acceptance.
Yeah.
Then I could start to focus on what it is that I really wanted, right? And that love and acceptance I discovered over the years wasn't from other people. It was actually loving and accepting myself the way I am.
Yeah.
And that's been my growth journey through the Enneagram. Karen, I'd love for you to share a little bit more about your growth journey with the Enneagram, what it was like for you when you discovered that motivation, and how you had connected things as a kid and how that was like working, but also not working for you.
Right. Well, and I think you and I are such an interesting example of how unique the Enneagram is for each person, because we're twins. There's no other type of relationship where you can, we had the same parents in the same house with the same friends. We shared a car. By the time we were in high school, we had all but one class together. I mean, we spent 23 hours of our day in the same space.
Mm-hmm.
But the way we see the world is really different.
Mm-hmm.
So the message I got as a kid was that the world isn't really safe, and that authority figures are maybe not to be trusted. So I better be on guard just in case all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So the lens that I see the world through is the world's a scary place. I better be prepared. Where you're seeing the lens of your Enneagram type is, I better be successful and I got to just keep doing, because that's what creates the safety for you.
Mm-hmm.
What's, working through those fears. So what happens for me is I generally look at most situations, my automatic focus goes to, what if this goes wrong? What's the worst case scenario? How can I be prepared? What do I need to know? Who can I trust?
Mm-hmm.
And in the Enneagram, what's interesting is the things that are our strengths are also our Achilles heels,
Mm-hmm.
right? So it's a strength for me that I'm a really good problem solver. You want me on your team when there's a new project coming up, because I'm really good at seeing, like, that all sounds great, but what if this happens? Then we can look at, oh, yeah, we hadn't thought about that.
Mm-hmm.
Let's make sure we have this implemented. It could save us time. It could save us money. It could, whatever. Where it gets me into trouble is when I'm seeing every potential problem, or I'm seeing problems in places that don't exist.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's this reinforcing view of, gosh, there's always potentially a problem, so the world really is unsafe. It's this self-fulfilling prophecy. When I'm aware of that, I can learn to relax. I can learn to trust others. That's a big growth point for me. And to go more with the flow. And then also to take more action, because all of that constant what ifing leads me to not take action, because there's always another what if. But if I know I'm doing that, when I'm aware of it, then I can stop myself and say, okay, but a decision needs to be made. I'm going to go with this decision and trust that things will work out, or that if they don't, I can still fix it later. But I don't have to have every answer to every possible scenario all in that same moment, right? It's the beauty of the Enneagram, is that knowing where I get stuck shows me both my strengths and how I overdo those strengths and they turn into struggles. And then also what specifically I need for growth.
Right. Because the
which
growth
is not
path,
what you need for growth. I need to do more work. You do not need to do more work.
No, that is not growth for me to do more.
Nope.
For me is to trust.
Yep.
It's to be, it's actually to do less, right? And it's also for me to allow support, to ask for help and allow it, instead of thinking I have to do everything myself. Yeah. And that's the beauty of the Enneagram, is that the growth for each of us is personal, right? It's not a one size fits all. And I love that we're integrating this into our program more and more all the time, because while we give you, like, the subconscious mind works the same for all of us. And when you know how your mind works, you can get it to work for you. The way that you release resistance to taking action on what you want to create in your life, all of us can use similar processes for releasing that resistance. But when you know the specific resistance that keeps coming up for you and your type, you are much more easily able to incorporate it, work through it, bring it along for the ride, not let it hold you back, right? You know exactly what it is where you're getting stuck, and then exactly what you can do to move through that. So as part of the aligning your mind portion of what we do, knowing your type so beautifully fits into knowing how your mind works, and also learning how to work with or release the resistance that personally comes up for you.
Yeah.
So Karen, would you please tell everyone a little bit more about the history of the Enneagram, how it came about, and how we use it today?
Yeah. So there isn't, a written down kind of linear path of the Enneagram, but there are references to it going all the way back to the ancient Greeks, to Plato's time. And Plato was a Greek philosopher who really understood the idea that we all are born with this essence, our essential being, right? Like if you lined up a bunch of babies in a room, you wouldn't point out which one's not worthy of love, which one needs to hustle harder, which one, like we all come into this world as perfect, whole, worthy beings. And as we age, and especially those younger years, toddlerhood through early elementary years, we start to first see ourselves as separate from others. Until about the age of 2 or 3, we really see ourselves as being the same as our primary caregivers. We don't see ourselves as our own individuals. And as we start to then grow and see that we are separate from our moms or our dads or our caregivers, we over time start to even see ourselves as separate from ourselves. We start to create these personalities that help us navigate the world, but that are not really part of our true essence. You don't have to work harder in order to be worthy of love. You are worthy of love as you are, right? I don't have to be afraid. I am safe in this universe as I am, right? So this was sort of Plato's key philosophy, and he started working. The word Enneagram comes from the Greek words ennea, which means 9, and gram, which means figure. And so it's a circle that has 9 points on it. The circle is symbolic of that oneness, of that wholeness that you are, and the wholeness that we're all, as humans, working back to get to. And then that Enneagram figure worked its way through ancient Greece, through ancient mystical spiritual traditions in all the world's major religions. You'll see it in Judaism, in Christianity, in Islam, in Hinduism. And in the 1970s, 60s and 70s, some South American philosophers and psychiatrists overlaid our known sort of Western ideas of human development, and they fit perfectly in this 9-pointed figure. And that's the modern Enneagram that we use today, is this understanding of our personality, but it's also it's definitely mixed with the spiritual component of transformation, of growth. A lot of the Enneagram symbol really is about how we transform really changes us. So if you look at the Enneagram symbol, it's a circle with 9 points that have arrows that are all connecting to each other. And it's a cyclical connection. It's like how water flowing through the Colorado River eventually transforms into the Grand Canyon, right? It's this natural process that when we're working on ourselves and we're moving through understanding of who we are and where we need to grow, we are creating transformation. So it's a beautiful combination of both, a spiritual interpersonal growth and also a psychological growth. And it's important to have both of those components. Mm-hmm. So you're not spiritually bypassing things you need to work on, and you're not missing out on the deeper, more important things that can come from learning more about yourself. Mm-hmm. Those arrows then on the Enneagram Circle connect to the paths where the growth is most defined for you. And that's what makes this so unique and so different, is that it does give you a really clear map for your transformation. Mm-hmm. I know when I'm coaching someone, if I know their Enneagram type, it's like fast forwarding a year of coaching, right? And I instantly know exactly what they need to help them get to where they want to go.
Yeah.
And it helps us as coaches in our program custom tailor what people need. Because the advice I'm going to give to you is not the advice I would give to someone who isn't, taking enough action. And it's not the advice I would give to someone who's, in a different place. We all encompass all 9 types because we are whole beings and we can learn from every single type. We tend to get stuck in one of those types. That doesn't mean that there's any that are better or worse. They're numbered 9 through 1, but it's not that the number 1 is the best Enneagram type. It's just a place on the circle. Mm-hmm. There are some philosophies that believe we're born with our type, and some that really believe we develop it in those early years, usually somewhere between ages 2 and 7 or 8, pretty young.
Yeah.
But that we're not really showing or aware of our type until we're much older. So I wouldn't use this tool for anybody who's maybe under their 20s, college years, because I think it takes us time to develop that personality and get to know who we are.
Mm-hmm.
I always caution people that it's a very, very powerful tool.
Mm-hmm.
And to use it ethically, some people will discover their type and say, well, look, I'm a 6. That's my number on the Enneagram. I'm a 6. I'm always going to be a worrier, and that's it. That's not the growth that comes from the Enneagram. It's understanding, like, why am I worrying and what am I going to do about it? Or, to say, I'm an 8 and I'm just intense and you have to deal with it.
Right.
Is not growth. Right. And at the same time, we don't want to do the reverse where we're stereotyping others and go, oh, she's a 1. She's just a perfectionist. She's never gonna. We need to give people grace that we aren't just our Enneagram type. It is a huge part of our personality and can give us deep insight. But I'm also someone who's worked on myself for 10 years and is continuing that work every day. Mm-hmm. I'm a mom. I'm a twin. I'm a friend. I'm an advocate. There's a lot more to me than just my Enneagram type. So I always want to caution people that it's a very powerful tool, but you want to make sure that you're using it for your better improvement and not to pigeonhole or stereotype yourself or others.
Right.
As you're going along.
Yeah. And as you're on that growth path for yourself, when you do learn more about the Enneagram and maybe the people in your life and their types, it does so dramatically shift the conversation, right? Yeah. So I fixate at 3 in the Enneagram. That's the doer. Karen fixates at 6, which is the the
loyal skeptic.
The loyal skeptic, right? And once we knew that about each other and we learned about each other's types, it was like all conflict subsided between us.
Yeah.
We've never fought since. I can see when Karen is in her 6ness, right? And my advice to her is not, well, don't worry about that, because I know that's not where she is in the moment, right? I can sit with her and say, what's the fear that's coming up? How's that feeling for you? Is this true? What's another way to look at this? Right. And I can actually be there for her in a totally different way, just as she is there for me in a totally different way. When I'm in my 3ness, right, and I'm just adding more to my to-do list, I'm wanting everything done yesterday. I'm thinking I should do it all myself. She can be there for me and say, let's map this out. Let's look at the bigger picture. Who else can help you with this? Hey, have you taken a break?
You gone to the bathroom or gotten a glass of water in the last 2 hours? Yeah.
Right? She can really see me where I am and give me the support that I need, because getting support from others is part of my journey of growth, not thinking I have to do life by myself. And when someone is there who says, I'm here to support you, it allows me to grow and say, okay, I'm willing to accept this support. Right. So once we knew that about each other, we stopped thinking the other one should be any different than they are.
Right.
Right. We see the beauty of each other's strengths. We also see when we're getting off the rails and our strengths are turning into hindrances, and we're able to love each other through all of that. I think that's been like using the Enneagram in our program, but also using it in our personal lives has been a real game changer for us, especially with each other, but, with our parents and with our partners and with our coworkers, and just being able to see how other people see the world and like giving them grace that that's how they see the world, right? We don't all see it the same way.
I think that's one of the biggest ahas, that when I'm working with like a corporate training, a group of corporate professionals, or I'm working with people who are brand new to the Enneagram, I think we see the world the way we see it, and we kind of assume everybody else does, or we can't understand why they don't see it the way we do. And I describe the Enneagram as like you have 9 pairs of glasses on the dresser in your bedroom. And every morning you wake up and you pick up that same pair of glasses and you put it on. And that's the lens that you see the world with. Mm. But my partner picks up a different pair of glasses and he sees the world through that lens. His is like a super happy, rosy lens, by the way, because he's a different type than me. And I can learn to pick up those other lenses and see the world through those visions as well. And know that just because I'm seeing it this way doesn't mean that that's how they're seeing it. Right. And I think that's so eye-opening for people, because it really can cut down on misunderstandings, miscommunications, conflict. When you just know that, oh, they're seeing it this way, it can be incredibly illuminating. I will say in romantic one-to-one partner relationships, I think it's the very best tool I've ever found. Yeah, for working with a partner. It just opened up a ton of insight. It helps me not take things personally. It helps me understand our conflict styles, because they're very different. So when we have to do a discussion, the way we talk about things is different now than the way we used to. Yeah. It just makes everything easier.
Yeah. So the Enneagram it's really a lifelong journey, right? Mm-hmm. And it's a lifelong discovery. And it's something that you really need someone to help you understand, because it's deep, it's comprehensive, it can be complex, but it can also be very individual for you. So you want to make sure that you know your type. And the best way to do that is do a typing interview with a trained and certified Enneagram teacher. So Karen offers that as part of our program. And to those of you inside the Align and Design Your Life community, she offers that. And it's just an incredible experience where you're really learning about yourself and how you see the world, and then what the personal path of growth is for you. So we will be talking more about the Enneagram over time. This is something that Karen and I have done a lot of personal work on, and we've worked with clients one-to-one on this, and just always looking for, like, how do we bring this to this community? How do we start to share this in a broader way? And so that's what we're doing inside the program, but then also here. So we're not going to go in depth into all of the different types today. We'll save that for another Mindset Monday. Because the 9 types are just fascinating to learn about and to understand. And then even deeper than that, each type has 3 different subtypes. It's sort of like you put on the glasses and then you can change the tint of the glasses. So there might be 3 of us who put on the 3 glasses, but our tint is a little different. And we kind of use our 3-ness, or our personality, is a little nuanced. Yep. In there as well. So it's something that we'll continue to dive into here in Mindset Monday. And if you're interested in doing an Enneagram typing, I want to encourage you to reach out to Karen. Karen, we'll post your link in the top of this Mindset Monday so that Great. People can get with you. Her calendar will be available when she is. Of course, as of the recording of this Mindset Monday, she's getting married in 2 weeks. So give her a little time, but get on her calendar now so she's ready for you when she's done celebrating this amazing event in her life. Karen, is there anything else you'd like to leave us with before we're done?
Just to say that I think if you're curious about the Enneagram at all, I believe it is the most life-changing system I've ever worked with, and continues to change with me. As my life has changed, going from when I first learned about it, I was pregnant. I didn't even have a kid. And now she's turning 12 on Saturday, right? So who I was as a not yet mom to now about to parent preteens, I'm changing and evolving, and the Enneagram gets to change. It changes and evolves with me. And it has made all of the relationships in my life so much better. And my understanding of myself so much deeper and richer, with compassion that I never had before. So if you're curious, please be open to checking it out.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Karen, for hopping on Mindset Monday with me today.
You're welcome.
And thanks to everybody who's been commenting as we go. We love to see your comments. Again, we'll post Karen's link at the top of this post. And then if you just want to shoot her a message or post something in the group, we're happy to help you here inside the free group, Align and Design Your Life, the community. You can always hashtag Ask a Coach. So if you hashtag Ask a Coach with your post, then Karen, Keely, and I can come in and answer your questions, give you feedback, point you in the right direction, give you the resources that you need. So be sure to use that hashtag in your posts inside this group. Any questions you have about the Enneagram, mindset, your focus, your energy, that's what we're here for. So use that hashtag Ask a Coach, and we will see you all on Mindset Monday next week. Thank you.
Thanks.